We spoke a while ago about Regina King starring in the Netflix movie Shirley, which
Uh-huh.
was going to be about Shirley Chisholm
Right.
and her presidential run.
In her presidential run.
And you saw it. I didn't even know it came out.
Yeah, it came out on Friday, I think.
Yeah. So you saw it. And
I saw
now give us the review.
it. So I learned a lot. Let me start there. I learned a lot. I didn't know as much about Shirley. I didn't know as much about Shirley Chisholm as I thought I did.
Okay.
Um, uh, she was from Brooklyn. I learned that she's one of my cousins. I learned that she's one of my cousins. Um,
Oh, you got to tell them what that means because if not, they're going to be like, what? She's really your
she
cousin?
she has Guyanese and Bajan roots. I have Guyanese roots. So I was like, oh, okay, this is one of my cousins. I think she spent um I think she lived in Barbados for a period of time, like in her early years, even though she wasn't born there. So she did have a bit of an accent,
Mm,
which I
okay.
thought was really okay. So what made me stumble upon this information is I could hear that there was some sort of accent there, and I couldn't pick up what it was supposed to be. I didn't know if it was Caribbean, if it was supposed to be Brooklyn. Like I didn't know because again, this is Regina King playing someone else, so I wasn't sure what the accent was really supposed to be. Um, and yes, she lived in Brooklyn. She was from Brooklyn. Like that's kind of how her political career started. Her getting involved in the community. I believe she started out as a teacher. Um, and then there was a lot of community involvement from there. But yeah, so she has Caribbean roots, which I thought was really cool. Um, and one of the I don't think it is the opening scene, but one of the first scenes is her, when she makes it into Congress and like
Mm,
having to having to encounter that one person, um, that one unmelanated person who just won't let you forget that you're different.
okay.
Um, I thought that that was a really important scene.
Hmm.
And the reason I felt that way was because so many of us have been in so many rooms throughout our lives where we were the only person in the room who looked like us. Um, and I just, yes, she was in Congress, very different from what my life has been. But I feel like, when you see things like that, sometimes it's like your own existence realized. So I thought that was really interesting. And so profoundly relatable for so many people. And then yeah, so her whole story, the story is mostly centered around her presidential run, um, and the things that she went through trying to get to the White House. And it wasn't just her. It wasn't just Regina King. It was Regina King. It was um, Terrence Howard. It was
Oh, right, right.
the dude from The Wire. I don't remember his name right now. Shit.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. He
Yeah.
played he played Senator Clay Aiken in the show.
Yeah. Yeah, he
Mhm.
plays her husband.
Okay.
Um so, yeah, so a lot of familiar faces. One of them being Lance Reddick. Um, I didn't realize. I guess I wasn't paying enough attention before, but I didn't realize that Lance Reddick was in this movie. Um, and then I also that got me to looking things up too, like how many more films does he have? And apparently he has one more film, posthumous, as they say, um, that will come out in 2025. Ballerina. Um,
Okay.
but I, it was like bittersweet. They did a little dedication, you know how they put up on the screen, you know, uh, this is dedicated to Lance, I think it said, or something like that. But it was nice to see him on screen. But it was also sad, you know, knowing that
Right.
he's no longer with us. Um, so and he played a pretty important role in the film. So there is actually a clip that of Netflix interviewing Regina King about her role in the film, and she talks about watching it back and seeing the scenes that she did with him, and you know Shirley looking at Mac. He played Mac, and she even said she was like she's looking at Shirley, looking at Mac, but then she's also looking at Regina, looking at Lance, and she's saying that she's grateful that she has that moment with him that is captured on film and she can go back to and look at it. Um, and I don't know. It just kind of gave me the feels because it's like, you know, we don't know these people personally, but we we feel akin to them through their art, through their work. So you know, it was just kind of one of those things where it like I took a double take the first time he appeared on screen, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, and you really does like you. I don't know. I'm an emotional person, so it made me feel, you know, very. I was moved by it, I should say, but
That's understandable, though.
yeah, yeah. So I would encourage everybody to watch the film. I thought it was a good film. I thought it was, like I said, I learned a lot of things that I did not know. Um, and some of it was just um, simply it being relatable, as I said. Looking at her as a woman, as a black woman, as someone who was very committed to um, defying those who questioned whether she should be in the spaces that she felt she deserved to be in, or she felt it was necessary. I think she would have said, I think some of the language that she used was that it was necessary for her to be there. It was necessary for her to do the things that she did. So I think it's important work. You know, there's things that we watch that are just purely fun and entertaining, and but it's always nice to kind of pull over from that and watch something that's more striking and more powerful and has a message and also educational because you know there's a lot there that you can learn about that time and what she went through and yeah so yeah, I thought it was great.
Okay. Scale of 1 to 10, what you give it? 10 being best ever. One, one being like, this probably shouldn't even exist.
Um, I'd give it a solid 7.5.
Okay, that's decent.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't sound too low. Like, but you know,
It's about. I haven't seen it, so that's why I gotta ask you.
I mean, I rarely give out tens. We'll say that, and then I just feel like it was. Um, I think sometimes with these types of films,
Hmm.
um, they're kind of like unless it's somebody that you like grew up seeing, you can only you can only assume that it was done so well, right?
Hmm.
Like I was old enough to see Michael Jackson existing in the world,
Right.
right? So
Hmm.
if I see a film about Michael Jackson and it's an inaccurate depiction of Michael Jackson, I would know because I was around for that. So to me, I feel like when I watch these types of films, and I love that Netflix is getting involved with these types of films, I really don't know what is the right way. Like like it's kind of like even me saying like with the accent, I wasn't sure. I actually had to look up Shirley Chisholm and figure out where was she from, what did she sound like, things like
Right.
that. So I leave a little room for that because you know, uh,
You said her husband was in the film. Did they get into the dynamic between her and her husband and the challenges that they incurred going on this journey?
they did. They definitely did. Not deep enough, but not too deep. I
Okay.
feel like they were able to maintain the focus on what she was doing in her presidential run, but they definitely did show them as a couple and some of the challenges that they faced. Um, there's one scene. This is a spoiler, but there is a scene where I forget where she was at. I don't know if it was. I think it was a speaking engagement or something like that, and someone tries to assault her. And when they made the decision for her to that when she made the decision that she was going to run for president, it was said that her husband was going to be her security. And her
Um,
husband happened to not be, he was there, but he wasn't around when this thing happened. She was okay. She didn't get attacked, but it was a scary moment. And there's this scene after that of her confronting him and saying, "You weren't there. And why weren't you there? Like you were supposed to protect me." And man, that gave me chills.
okay.
And it gave me chills because this is not a knock to men. I just want to be clear. But it gave me chills because we often, as Black women, talk about how we do not feel protected. And to me, maybe this is not always what we mean, right? But it was definitely it it was definitely on display in this scene.
Okay.
That that feeling of I didn't feel protected. I don't even think it mattered what the thing was, but the way that scene played out, like I said, very relatable. Very much like, wow, I didn't feel like anybody had my back. I didn't feel like anybody was trying to take care of me or protect me. Um,
Gotcha.
so yeah, they do get into the dynamics between the two of them. I don't want to give away too much because there is,
Hmm.
um, you will see some of their relationship play out on film. So I won't give away too much. But I thought that scene was super powerful. I was like, oh, I
That's
get
good though.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good because I mean, listen, I got to imagine at that time, anytime someone goes for a presidential run, clearly your spouse is going to go through it.
Yeah.
But being the first Black woman to run for president,
Hmm.
I'm sure that that they went through some trying times, and so I was just wondering, was the dynamic on display at all? One last question before we move on. So it's a 7.5. It's a good rating. What would you what could they have done? How do I word this? What would have made the film better?
I think that some moments were a little slow.
Hmm.
Um, so there's that. I think that some things also weren't fully explained. Like, and maybe I missed this, but um, there's something she does in the film. I won't give it away, but there's something she does in the
Hmm.
film where like it's like a recurring thing that happens in the film
Okay.
where you know all of these chaotic things are happening and but there's something that she always does no matter what. I would have liked a little bit more information about that. When I looked it up, I do see how that particular thing impacted the way she governed. Um, but or impacted her politics and the causes that she got involved with. But I didn't really understand it right away. So things like that.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I mean, certainly wasn't a bad film, and I feel like a 7.5 is me being a little conservative. I could probably give it an 8 if
No, no, I'm not trying to
but
sway you to give it a higher rating. I'm just trying because I didn't watch it. I'm trying to just uh get more information, get more perspective. It seems like you enjoyed it, so I'm not trying to get you to change your mind or get you to give it a higher rating. But I feel like I don't usually when we do a review, both of us have seen it, or at least one of us knows something about it. I didn't even know it came out. So besides the one trailer, I
Mhm.
didn't I don't really have anything to go off of. So I figure I ask you some questions.
Yeah, I'm also kind of nerdy when it comes to like political stuff. So when it
Same.
comes to um when it comes to like dramas and things like that, I'm like, oh, I could totally watch this all day. And I know that that's not everybody's
No, it's not
that,
everybody's jam.
yeah, that doesn't excite everybody, and that's fine. But
No,
yeah, so I mean, I was probably gonna be into it regardless.
I
But
dig
yeah,
that. All right, sweet. There it is, folks. There's our Dash's Shirley review.
a lot longer than I expected it to be.
I mean, reviews take time. You know what I'm saying?
They do.